Welcome all to the Reef Podcast. I'm your host, LuisIpa, welcoming you to the 2-year anniversary of the Reef Podcast. Man, it's been a while since I've actually had one of my good friends here. Where is this friend of mine?
I'm right here, finally. I know it's been a hot minute, but I am back.
Dude, so glad to have you back, and welcome back to the 2-year now.
2 years? How crazy is that?
Dude, I'm actually thankful to actually have you as my co-host for so long, dude.
Oh, well, thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. So we actually have great guests with us today. We actually had 3 people with us today.
Yeah, that we do. Why don't you go ahead and introduce them, Louis?
Sure. I'll go right ahead and actually do this. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Corey, Eric, and Austin from Scion Esports. Welcome, guys.
Hey, we're glad to be here.
Good to be here.
Man, so glad to actually get this going because one thing I want to say before actually we get started is congratulations on 10 years at Scion Esports.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much. It doesn't seem like that long. Sometimes it seems like forever, but sometimes it just seems like we just started yesterday. But it's been a fun 10 years.
Dude, I bet it's actually been a roller coaster of a ride all this time, though.
It has been. It's always how are we going to pay for this? Is anybody going to come? Wow, that was awesome, but it was nearly a disaster. That's pretty much how it goes.
That's awesome. So are you okay with introducing yourselves, guys, one by one?
Yep. Yeah, sure. I'm the one that answered those couple of questions is me. I'm Corey Tarver. I'm the general manager of Lake Charles Toyota and one of the co-founders of Scion Esports with Eric and our cousin Jeremy and Grizzletoe in the Discord, Dustin Duffy.
I'm Eric Tarver. I'm basically the chief financial officer of Lake Charles Toyota. Corey basically sells the cars, and I count the money. Is what we do. Background-wise, basically, my education is engineering, electrical engineering, mostly power systems, but also some computer stuff and that kind of thing. But right out of school, I just basically started being an accountant in family business. And so now I'm an accountant, and I fix computers, and I run an esports organization in my nighttime job, I guess you call it.
That's awesome.
And I'm Austin. I'm nice enough to work or Eric and Corey are nice enough to let me work for Scion Esports, my favorite thing that I do on the side. I run Smash for them mostly, and I try to do some of the logistical things behind the scenes.
Austin's also an employee of Lake Charles Toyota. He's a technician or a foreman of our express technicians.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, I'm just glad to have you all 3 because it's so rare to that we actually see 3 people that are actually getting interviewed on the podcast. The most we ever had was actually 2, so this is actually a new record. 3 people.
Rock on.
Right.
All right, so basically what's gonna happen is we're gonna ask you a general certain questions, and after we actually ask you the serious questions, we're actually gonna break down and end with some funny, goofy, out of the blue questions.
That sounds good. Let's do it.
Yep, and just so you know, guys, in case you don't know, actually Scion Esports is actually a sponsor of the Reef Podcast, so I want to thank them again for actually being a sponsor for us.
No problem. Glad to be on board.
Awesome. All right. So first question I have for y'all today is what made y'all actually decide to go with Scion Esports? What actually was the main focus when you guys started?
Well, we a long time ago, there was a Toyota had a sub brand of cars called Scion from about 2005 to 2014 or 2015, I think. And they really pushed very hard what they call grassroots marketing. They wouldn't let you spend money on television. They wouldn't let you spend money on radio. You had to promote Scion with grassroots events. We originally, the first thing that we did was a local band concert out on the used car lot. And then we just kind of had the idea to turn some of those grassroots events into esports events. And at that time, we called it Lake Charles Scion Esports because Lake Charles Scion was like the sub dealership inside Lake Charles Toyota. And we called it Lake Charles Scion Esports for the first, 5 years or so. And as it grew, we just kept doing more and more esports events. And eventually we turned all of our Scion grassroots into esports. And then in 2014 or 2015, Toyota decided to discontinue the Scion nameplate so that they kept the cars. The cars were cool cars. They just changed their name to Toyotas and totally discontinued the Scion nameplate. But by then, we had kind of shortened our name from Lake Charles Scion Esports just because that was kind of a lot for the tongue. We had shortened it and just started saying Scion Esports, pretty much in the regular vernacular. And by the time Toyota discontinued the brand, we just kind of liked that name so much that we stuck with it. We just kept it. In fact, we went in and trademarked Scion Esports just to see if Toyota would get mad at us, and they didn't. So basically, it originated with Lake Charles Scion, a sub-brand of Toyota, and then we just kind of shortened it to Scion Esports and loved the name. And even when Toyota discontinued it, we just kept doing esports tournaments under the name Scion Esports. So that's kind of that's the origin.
That's
The
awesome.
budget was about maybe $2,500 a year then, probably. And now we probably spend $25,000 or so per event. So it's grown significantly since then.
Damn. All right, LSAT, you got your question?
Yeah, sure. So you guys are celebrating 10 years of awesome gaming tournaments and, demos, shows, and all that. What have been some of the struggles with the development and growth of Scion Esports over the past 10 years?
I think I'll say a couple, and then Eric and Austin can maybe chime in with a couple because there's many, but I would say the most significant one is getting the word out to players and getting players to come to events. It's really hard to get the message out to people in the community. Like that's the hardest part, I think. And of course, there's technical struggles and budget troubles and stuff, but the hardest thing is getting the word out, which is why it's awesome that you invited us on this podcast, because probably, I don't know who listens, but it's probably not necessarily people that have heard about us before. So just getting the message out, I think, to players is what I would say is probably the biggest struggle. And we've gotten a little bit better at it over the years, but I would still kind of put my finger on that as, the kind of the toughest challenge.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then a little bit more specifically, knowing what games to play and what games to focus on. Because when you ask players what games you want to play, no one answers. And then when you go all in on a game, well, that's the wrong one. So that happens a lot. It's hard to get people to respond positively ahead of time. But then the next, unrelated, I would say, a big struggle with going from, basically in our basement to renting out civic centers and putting on big events is the growth hurdle going from big enough to have a small LAN event is a significant first step in hardware. So if you're going to have a local LAN in-person event, you can't really do it. You don't really start with, or it's not particularly exciting to start with 6 or 8 or 10 people, although we did that. Our first StarCraft tournament was like 16 people. And then we had a Halo, and then we went from that to a Halo tournament with 24 teams. And the jump from basically your basement to having a real large in-person LAN event is a huge infrastructure jump. And so getting off the ground is all about how do you make that first jump to where, okay, we're going to go buy 16 Xboxes just for esports, or we're going to go build 12 gaming PCs all at one time. And so that's a big hurdle for us. Each time we kind of make a leap into a new size of event, it's always a question of, okay, financially, logistically, how do we make this jump? And then once we make that jump, then we kind of nail it from there on at that sort of event size. Now, the latest jump that we've made is basically going from using our own conference room or stuff like that to now we're just renting out event centers, renting out civic centers for every event that we do. So that's a big jump. And sometimes you got to just rip the Band-Aid off and go for it. And it's scary. And sometimes you think you're going to go bankrupt, but you just go for it. And you just have to take some risks. Because basically for us, the risk is really, we do one of these events. We don't make a lot of money on these events. In fact, we pour money into them. So the risk for us is basically having one getting too big, biting off more than we can chew,
right?
Wasting $20,000 of our company's money, and then we got to put the brakes on. And so that's the risk, is sort of biting off more than we can chew from a size standpoint, and then nobody's showing up for it. That's the risk. So that's always scary. That's what I think.
There's always the fear that nobody's going to show up. Whether you're planning a party for 10 of your friends or an esports event for 1,000 people, like you just get these. It starts off as butterflies 2 or 3 days before the event, and then it just goes until the first person walks in the door. There's just always the fear that, what if we invested all this time and all this money, and then no one ever walks through that door.
Or you get one person that shows up and it's like, is this it?
Yeah.
But I do have a question in regards to the technical aspect of it. You were mentioning earlier about, growing from a basement to now you're renting out these huge spaces. With the recent issues we've had with supply chain problems and whatnot, especially affecting video game consoles, GPUs, have you guys had any unexpected problems with that as far as the technical side of things go?
Yeah,
That's a perfect question for Eric to answer. Yeah, because him and Jeremy have spent the last 3 months dealing with that exact thing. So Eric's all over that one.
Yeah, if y'all remember when the Xbox Series X and when the PlayStation 5 came out, they came out and you couldn't get them. And we knew that day the next big tournament we're going to have the next big tournament that we can't have it on Xbox One. We got to have Xbox Series X's. We actually now we have a bunch of Series S's and X's, but we just knew we got to have X's. And so how are we going to get them? And that's been a struggle. Luckily, we started buying Xbox Series X's right when they came out, and we bought and bought and bought slowly. We built it up. We don't use bots. We don't have any secret access that nobody else has. We pretty much just buy them when we can see them. Sometimes we pay a little too much. Sometimes we can buy a handful at a time in bulk from GameStop or something like that. But we've struggled mightily with getting Xbox Series X's, of course, as you can expect. And then the other thing was we built 12 new AMD PCs with 5800 X's probably 6 months ago. And we just knew when we built them, we're going to build these things with no GPUs. And then we're going to wait as long as we can possibly wait to see if the market comes back on GPUs. And guess what? Did it? No, it did not. So it's still just ridiculous, the market on GPUs. So we wound up having to actually pay too much for some. We got some for fair prices, but some of them we had to pay too much for. And it sucks. It's a terrible time to buy GPUs and stuff. We got through it. We're having to basically finish up our hardware here at the last second, but it's been an absolute struggle. We have some older hardware that if it wasn't Halo, we could continue to use. We have 16 PCs that are great for running League of Legends, Rocket League, even Overwatch.
Right.
Halo, man, it grinds stuff to the ground almost worse than it seems like it should. So we really had to grind out those last few Xbox Series X's, and we got up to, we have 26 Series S's, 26 Series X's, and like 42 Nintendo Switches and about 24 PCs. And so we got there, but it was a struggle. And
right.
Sometimes we were very frustrated with having to pay too much, but we didn't do a lot of that, but we had to sometimes.
While you're talking about hardware, the one console that we did manage to get kind of an inside connection on was those Nintendo Switches. For our last big Smash Brothers tournament, we bought like an additional. We already had like maybe 12 or 14, and we bought like an additional 25 or something.
Yeah, we did buy.
And all those Switches came in. All 24 or 25 of those Switches came in at one time. And then Austin Geimer, the true hero of Scion Esports, single-handedly, maybe not single-handedly, but with the help of a small group of friends, unlocked every Smash character on every single one of those 25 Switches in the course of like 2 weeks, Austin, or something.
Oh no, it took me about a month, but that's
a hell of a grind.
Yeah,
every day playing Smash.
So
it's a good thing I love that game.
So can you say that I should give a round of applause to them, LSAT, for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just doing it on one Switch is more than I'd want to do.
It takes about 4 hours per Nintendo Switch to unlock all the characters if you really go at it and just hit it hard. And I went every single day after I got off of work, I'd clock out and I'd drive over to the game lounge that we sponsor, and I'd just sit down and I'd run through 3 switches at one time, all on a different TV, and just keep going and going. And I think I had help with maybe 8 of them, and I did the rest of them, and it was such a grind.
Yep.
But the end result was so worth it. We had so much fun with CypherCon Mini, and the amount of Smash players we got for that was amazing.
From what I heard, CypherCon Mini was actually a big success. Like there was so many people that came from other states, correct?
Oh yeah, we had a lot of people flying for that one. CypherCon Mini was the biggest Smash tournament in Louisiana's history. It took a lot of effort and a lot of work to make that happen. And I got to give a shout out to Laffy Smash and Baton Rouge Smash. They helped me a lot with getting players all over the state to come to that thing. And then just the outpouring of support from Louisiana's Smash community on, hey, what do you guys need? Do you need any help? Do you need any volunteers? Everybody wanted to be part of our biggest Smash tournament. And after the tournament, a couple weeks later, Liquipedia ranks CypherCon Mini as a C-tier major. So we got the nameplate of major.
Oh, nice.
We have a funny kind of love-hate relationship with Smash here because Smash is just really, really big in Southwest Louisiana especially. And so it's not a game that me and Corey particularly play a lot. We play it a little bit. We play all games, but we don't particularly it's not really necessarily one of our mains. But Geimer is just totally into Smash. And so we have a lot of back and forth with Smash about, just kind of about that. But they're serious about it. And the good thing about Smash in our area is it is definitely, I'll say, Geimer, you can record this. Eric saying something good about Smash. It is absolutely the most reliable game that we've ever had as far as just have a tournament, people will come. Smash, something about it. It's just really big in Southwest Louisiana. Smash and anime are just big here.
Not only that, but I noticed that like the Smash community is just so like live when you actually whenever I actually worked for y'all for the CypherCon Mini, I just like felt all the energy for the finals. It was just mind blowing, dude. Like it was ridiculous.
Yep.
So
Smash is that way here.
So we got a question here from Chax saying, "What is the meaning of Scion and why did you pick it?" This is actually a viewer that just came in not that long ago, so he didn't hear when you guys said it. So whoever wants to answer it can go ahead and answer it for them.
Yeah, well, the meaning of Scion, Scion is a kind of an uncommon word in the English language, but it means like a kind of a anointed son of a dynasty or something like, John F. Kennedy Jr. or whatever, like somebody, an up and comer that you just know is going to be like take over the role or whatever of this, be successful and kind of just like take the family business or the mafia or the political whatever, just take it to another level. So it's kind of like an anointed up and coming son. That's kind of the meaning of the word Scion, and I think that's why Toyota chose that word, because they were making this kind of offshoot of their own brand, and it was kind of a cool name for that. And then from there, Toyota named it Scion. We had the sub dealership Lake Charles Scion, and so then if you were for the guy that was asking the question that maybe didn't hear from that point of the story on. Lake Charles Scion was the sub dealership, and Toyota promoted grassroots events for the Scion brand, and we used those events to kind of launch our esports franchise. And then when Toyota discontinued the Scion nameplate, we had already kind of started calling ourselves Scion Esports, just kind of shortened the name. And we loved the name, and it stuck. And so even though Toyota discontinued the name, we kept it because we just felt like it was a really cool name.
Now,
Scion Esports is just an offshoot of Lake Charles Toyota. Also, it sounds really cool, we think, and so that's why we stuck with it also.
Yep.
It just sounds cool. We just like the way it sounds. It rolls off the tongue real nice.
So here's a follow-up question to that. Are you guys eventually going to get it a trademark, or do you guys already have it trademarked? Like, is there like
we do actually. Funny story about that. When was it, Eric? 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, it's probably 3 years ago.
We got our website hacked by some like Russian bot or something that was trying to ransom our website.
In full disclosure, we let it expire for like
we let the domain expire, yeah. For like it was like it was like no time at all, like within like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. The Russian hackers stole our website and tried to ransom it back to us or whatever. So we had to go through this very expensive and long legal process with ICANN, which is like the federal organization for managing domains. And we pretty much had to sue these hackers to get our name back, to get our URL back. And part of that process was you had to prove that you have legitimate claim to the name. So we had to provide them all this documentation of previous events showing the logo. And one of the things we had to do was actually service mark the logo and the name. So we got with the Secretary of State of Louisiana or whatever and got the name Scion Esports registered. And then we, I can't remember where we did the copy. I mean, where we did the service mark, but we sent in all the forms and the description of the logo and what the elements mean, and got a legal service mark on the logo. And that's kind of when we thought that Toyota was, if Toyota was going to ever send us a cease and desist for using like their name, that would have been when, and they didn't do it. So that's kind of when we felt like, oh yeah, we do own this. This really is our brand.
That's awesome. So we got a question here from Wise Man Shade saying, where can we buy Scion fanboy merchandise?
Okay, I am glad you asked that. And by the way, Wise Man Shade is the best stream moderator Scion Esports has ever had. He does a fantastic job. I was telling somebody the other day that for the 30 minutes before one of our events, all the way through the event to like 30 minutes after the event, our Twitter and Instagram presence and our Twitch stream chat is like as just A1 as it's ever been. And then we go 3 months with like basically just barely even having a heartbeat. When Wise Man Shade, when Shade is at the helm, we are first class. So what was the question? I forgot what the question was.
Where can you get gear? Where can you get gear?
Yeah. Well, that's right. Where can we get gear? So actually, this is the first time we're going to experiment at our Halo tournament. The first time we're going to experiment with a Scion Esports merch shop. My wife is going to run it. My wife and her mom and her sister actually run the gift shop at Lake Charles Toyota. And so they're kind of taking that small retail boutique mindset, and they're going to put up a merchandise shop at the Halo tournament. So there will be some Scion Esports gear there. There'll be some Halo gear there. There'll be some Scion Esports / Halo gear there. There'll also just be some general gaming stuff. My favorite thing is the tumblers, like these Arctic tumblers that are like aluminum or whatever, and they have the Scion Esports logo engraved in them. So there will be some merch at the Halo tournament, and hopefully we sell some. And if we just sell enough to break even, we'll probably keep doing it because we love the idea of getting our stuff out there. So we'll see how well it works.
Also, a future thing that you guys could do also is eventually have it on your website too, so that way people can order online and everything.
Yeah, we actually talked about that with Lori about if it's successful, then we may put a like a little web store on our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had a web store at one point, very briefly, but we kind of quit doing it. Mostly, we just took it down out of lack of interest, but also we want to do it in a way where we can kind of control it better than we were doing it. We were doing it with like a I don't know what you call it, a third-party vendor where you send them your logo, and didn't really like that. So we'll get back into it.
Okay. Frank here actually has a question saying, what has been your favorite esports moment in history, and why was it the Daigo parry?
Let Geimer take that one. I'm curious. Which Smash player did he enjoy touching in person the most?
So personally, my personal experience is meeting Larry Lurr and getting his feedback on how to make my events better. But for me, it's that's hard because I was in New Orleans for MLG in 2016, I believe, when one of the best Smash players ever was dethroned and lost the first tournament out of a Guinness World Record run of winning tournaments, and I got to be there for that, and the whole room was chanting just one more stock, and it was so much energy, and he took it and he beat him, and everyone lost their collective minds in that venue that night, and it was amazing.
So your favorite esports memory is like the worst day of that guy's life. Awesome.
Oh yeah, probably, but the best day of the other guy's life, because after that, his streaming career kicked off real hard.
Okay.
So hey, I'm gonna say
Eric, you answer one. You answer that same question because I have one in mind, and I'm curious to know if we're gonna say the same thing. So okay. You go, and then I'll.
I don't know. This is not a Scion Esports story, but actually, probably one of the, at least like Geimer said, it's really hard because there's so many cool things in esports. But one of the early memories that I have that kind of really solidified our thought of, hey, this was freaking awesome, and you know what else? We can do this. We went to with one of our buddies who we were super into StarCraft at the time, like fully addicted to StarCraft. Like we listened to this song, this funny song that was about StarCraft, like every day, all the time. We went home and played it at lunch. We were totally addicted. And we went to California for his bachelor party when he got married. We went to well, where was it at in California, Corey? It's South
Anaheim.
California,
It was in Anaheim. Yeah.
So we went to like a
Outside of LA.
Yeah, so we went to this StarCraft tournament in California, and we had never been to anything like that before. We've been to concerts and stuff. We'd never been to anything esports like that before. But we went to an actual professional StarCraft tournament in California, and we saw some of the best players we've ever seen. The famous people that we knew that played StarCraft, we saw them, Jaedong, Polt, just these super famous StarCraft players. We love Jaedong. We got to see him do a 6-pool cheese on Scarlet at the time.
Yeah, Scarlet. Yeah.
Super, super memorable. And we had a sign that said Polt, and we held it up, and we got on the actual broadcast holding up the sign. And then
we called our mom. We called our mom and said, "Mom, watch the stream."
You know, we made shirts that had Lake Charles on the back. They had crawfish on the back, and we got on the actual StarCraft Blizzard broadcast, doing that. And then we met all these famous guys. We met Husky StarCraft and Day9 and Mr. Bitter, all these famous StarCraft names. It was just totally awesome, just totally just nerding out for a weekend. Then we actually went home and we thought, hey, we can do this. And the first thing we did, and also Idra, who's a super famous StarCraft player, we met all these guys. And then when we got home, we said, hey, let's see if we can pay these guys to come to a tournament. And sure enough, it wasn't that expensive, and we got them all to come to a tournament, and we did a tournament in Lake Charles, and it wasn't a huge tournament. We had about 100 players, but we got all these famous StarCraft names to come to Lake Charles just because of the connection of knowing them, and we just, Corey just started getting on his phone and calling them, and we got them all together, and we paid a couple $1,000s to get a bunch of guys down. It was just totally awesome. So that's the memory.
Yeah, and actually we kind of have a long-standing relationship with Mr. Bitter, Ben Nickel, who has been an employee of Red Bull Esports for a long time. Then he worked for Esports Engine. Now he's developing his own video game app for the iOS. And he actually we stayed in touch with him for all these last, 10 years. That was in what, Eric, 2013, 2012?
Yeah, something like that.
And so we stayed in touch with him, and in fact, he came to CypherCon Mini, and so that was pretty cool. We established this relationship at the WCS America in Anaheim in 2012, and we've kind of stayed in touch with the guy, and it's been pretty cool. That is, by the way, exactly the memory that I was going to mention. Eric left out one thing though. Their food vendor at the event, their food vendor at that event backed out, and so they were supposed to have like a food truck or something, or a caterer. I can't remember what it was, but there was supposed to be food at the event for maybe like 200, 300 fans. And our food vendor backed out. And me and Eric and Andrew, who worked with us, and our cousin Jeremy, who all worked at Lake Charles at the time, we ordered pizza from like Pizza Hut or whatever for like 300 people, everybody in the stands. We just had pizza delivered on Lake Charles Toyota's dime. And they talked like Clutch, who was one of the not the same Clutch that's now coming to our Halo tournament, by the way, but a different Clutch. He tweeted about us and put the Lake Charles Toyota saves esports on Reddit, and because we bought pizza for all these people, so it was a very cool memory.
Dude,
that's how you make an impact.
That's awesome. All right, LSAT, you got a question for them?
Yeah, actually I do. So how did things go from your idea, like what's the process from when you guys think about you want to do a tournament or something like that, an event, and making it a reality? Like, what's the steps there?
Eric, can I set that one up?
Yep, go ahead.
And then you can add to it maybe.
Yep.
So the way it works pretty much is we decide what game we want to do, and then I come up with all these crazy ideas that are 10 times harder than we've ever done before, and then I tell them to Eric and Jeremy, and then they have to figure out how to do them.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's basically what happens, and then Eric tells me like how many cars we have to sell to pay for that.
We're kind of in a rhythm now of kind of we do something in January and then something in April and then something in the winter, and so we kind of are always thinking about the next event, and it's we kind of always know when that event's going to be. It's just a matter of the questions are always, the first question is always, what game are we going to play? What do the players want? And the next question is always, how are we going to make it bigger than last year? And then and the third question is, how are we going to pay for that?
Right. Well, have you guys, have y'all ever done anything like speed running charity events?
I tried to get some speedrunners to come to SciFicon last year. Actually, the one that got the SciFicon that got canceled, I had some speedrunners that were going to come and do live streams of their speedruns. We hadn't really talked about associating with charity, other than just that I think that SciFicon generally supports a charity. But I think I talked to a Metroid, Super Metroid speedrunner and an Ocarina of Time speedrunner, and I can't remember which one was coming, but I had at least one or two commitments to come do speed runs. Oh, and the coolest one, I can't remember what they were called, but there's a band that does speed runs of Metroid. I can't remember if it's Metroid 1 or Metroid 2, but one of the regular, or is it Legend of Zelda? Anyway, they do speed runs of a game. There's one of them that's a player, and he does speed runs, and the rest of the band is playing the soundtrack to the game that he's playing as he's playing it. And like, if he dies, they start the whole soundtrack over, and so I've tried that. We haven't ever really like successfully like come together on getting speedrunners involved in our events, but it's definitely kind of on the radar. Cool. We did that's definitely something that we would like to do it someday. That would be cool.
We did a Game to Life marathon one time. Or is that what it was, Corey? Is that the right word?
What is it called?
No,
it's called the
Extra Life.
Extra Life.
It's a 24-hour
the Children's Miracle Network thing. Yeah.
We had a group of players, and they did a gaming marathon and helped raise money for something.
Children's Miracle Network, I think, or no, it's Christus. It was Christus Hospital. Christus, because it was, remember, because what was that lady's name that was real? Kara. Anyway, the girl from Christus was real into it.
Wise man over here says Kara Wayland.
Kara Weiland, yeah, Kara Weiland. That was her. Yep, she's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, awesome. Louis?
All right. So I know you guys have like, your 10-year anniversary coming up and everything like that, like for next week and everything. Do you guys have any future events besides Scion 10 coming up?
Austin has been pressing us to do a dedicated, specific Smash only major, and he finally convinced us to do that. And we went and had a meeting. Basically, Austin said we want to do a Smash only major. We're going to call it Crusade. We're going to get 1,000 players at it, and we just need a venue and a date. And so he can tell you all about that maybe, this is a good time for him to pitch the event, but. We ended up going and sitting down with, we think it's going to be, and we're waiting for final confirmation, but we think it's going to be kind of a successor to SciFicon Mini, kind of a partnership with SciFicon where they do the vendors and they do the kind of the expo area, and we do all the gaming at it. But it's going to be a big Smash only event, and that is in October, right, Austin?
Correct. I don't remember the exact dates because I'm terrible at dates. I want to say it's either the second or third weekend of October. We haven't announced the prize pool yet. We're saving that announcement for the Scion 10 stream. If you guys want to know what the prize pool is supposed to be, tune into that, and we'll be announcing it there. But we're getting the Coliseum if everything goes the way it's looking like, we're going to get the Coliseum at the Civic Center. It's going to give us a lot of room for players, a lot of room for setups. The number is a dumb number. It's ridiculous how much we're putting into this one. I'm going to, as soon as we get a confirmation on everything, I'm going to start looking into getting players to fly out to this thing, pay a couple of professional Smash commentators to come commentate this thing, just get as much eyes on this thing as I can. And my big thing for it is I want to make sure that all of Louisiana Smash feels like they're a part of it in some way. I'm reaching out to every TO in Louisiana, Smash TO, anybody that runs a tournament, local, in Leesville or Alexandria, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and I want them to give a little bit of input on what they would want at a major, and I want to make that a reality for the entire community.
Wow.
One of the things that we do
gonna be
to
big.
kind of keep
The pool of money that is going to be out there is a very large number. So
it's going to be a smash hit. We one of the things that we do to kind of keep ourselves sane, and also just to kind of clarify the message, is we kind of force ourselves to just think about one event at a time. So we might have to book a venue or something like that a long time in advance, but like we were telling Austin the other day, stop talking about Crusade. We're doing Halo right now. We'll start talking about Crusade the day after the Halo tournament. So usually the way it works is we spend like months planning one event, and then we detox for, we sleep for like a whole day, and then detox for a couple days, and then immediately go into planning the next one, so that we can have one message and one focus at a time.
Now,
and don't forget CypherCon. After Halo, we have CypherCon.
Oh, I forgot about CypherCon. Yeah, I forgot about CypherCon.
That's going to be a broad base, a lot of games. We're going to have a lot of time, a lot of space. We're going to do a lot of games. It won't be anything as big as Halo and Crusade, but it's going to be a lot of games. Something for everybody, kind of what's going on at CypherCon. And then going back to Corey said we detox. Something to make sure everybody knows is that Scion Esports has no full-time employees. So we do pay a lot of workers, but what happens is we literally do pour every ounce of energy and money that we have into an event, and then we literally do have to detox for a couple months. We have to rest. We have to spend time with our families, because we all have day jobs and Scion Esports. So we one event at a time, and then when that event's over, we take some time to rest, recover, rebuild the coffers, pay for the old event, and then we are ramping up for the next event.
and one thing I wanted to add too that I found really funny is that I'm a big person when it comes to social media, especially Twitter. So seeing the advertisement that you guys did for Crusade, I think it was through Curls Creations, I believe. He literally posted a line with each letter hinting at Crusade. And
Yeah, he did like an acronym or whatever.
Yes.
It was pretty creative.
So as soon as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. This guy's trying to hint at something here. Like, I just find it unique how a lot of the staff members from Scion actually hint at like future events, like, in encrypted messages.
Me and Curls do that a lot. Yeah, Curls is really excited about Crusade for sure. Like the moment we dropped the trailer for Crusade, the little teaser during the Louisiana Smash Awards that we did last week, that's the most consistent viewers I've had at one of my local tournaments on Twitch in a while. We had 40 consistent viewers the entire time. We never dropped below that. It was crazy. For a local tournament, that's exciting. But once we dropped the trailer for Crusade, the chat got excited because they knew what we did with CypherCon Mini, and then Curls immediately starts sharing things on Twitter. He gets excited. Social media is hard, though. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I actually been there for quite a while, and I know how crazy it can get. But
yeah, social media seems to be its own beast in itself.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, LSAT, your question?
Yeah, sure. All right, so you guys have been in esports for well over a decade now. Y'all have lots of experience under your belt. Is there anything that you would change in the esports community or in the gaming community in general, if you could?
I kind of have a reputation around the dealership of kind of having a bad attitude about players. I deal with the players a lot leading up to events. Usually I don't end up doing a lot of player interaction at events, but leading up to it I do a lot. And I think so I get kind of a bad rap because I get pretty frustrated with them because sometimes they're very demanding. It seems like they're not appreciative, but I think there are some cultural issues that I would like to, that if I could control and change, I would really like to improve some of the cultural issues that gaming has, because it's such a diverse community and so many different people and so many different ideas and so many different passions, but everybody's really passionate about it. And I think if I could just kind of make everybody, cut everybody else some slack, and just have a good time. If I had the magic, finger snap, then I could change one thing about gaming. It would be that for everybody to just realize, like, I'm passionate about this. I love this game. That guy does too. We're kind of all on the same team here. Let's don't, shoot each other in the feet, and let's just all work together, and we can all have a great time.
Yeah,
I know that's obviously.
It would be nice if the 1% of players who are truly professional caliber players would take it that seriously. But then if the people below that would realize, I'm just here to have a good time, and as long as we're all having a good time, that's awesome. But what happens is it gets so toxic because a lot of people tend to take the game so seriously that they don't even enjoy playing the game. And that's a problem. I'm sure that's a problem with all sports.
Yeah.
But I think it's a worse problem with esports especially because of the fact that so much of it is done without someone right across from you, that you can just really get so worked up and treat other people, whether it's your opponents or your teammates or the people hosting tournaments for you, way worse than you would if you would just say, we're just all here to have a good time. So don't want to sound too pouty about that, but we're just here to have a good time.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how much time, work, and effort, the only free time that we have, poured into these events. And we're not making a bunch of money from them. We're not trying to get rich off of them. We're just trying to put on a show, put on something that somebody can come to and enjoy. Right. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's hey, what would be cool? What would these guys enjoy? And then when we get there, and it's the minority of players that are the most vocal, but they ruin the atmosphere for people. And if those guys could just take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize I'm here to enjoy myself. Why am I getting so angry? That would be awesome.
All right. Okay. I got y'all. Louis?
All right. So you guys mentioned how Austin here is actually the big Smash player, but what about you guys? What's actually like your number one game that you wish like you could have at a big esports event, but you don't have right now?
Or you go in there.
StarCraft 2, absolutely, but it's so dead. we I don't know why we haven't had a funeral for it, but like anytime I can set a password, like how they give you those secret questions for passwords. If there's one that's what's your favorite anything, like it could be like what's your favorite like dessert, and I put StarCraft 2. Like that's my answer for all those secret questions. Like that first experience, we were already totally absorbed in the game and obsessed with it, and then we had that big WCS America experience. And so if I had my dream, it would be a StarCraft 2 tournament. But my second one is Halo. And we're doing that. So
that's awesome. All right. What about you, Corey?
Yeah. That was Corey. And I would actually say
similar.
I would say probably the same too. And I was just going to pick the opposite order, whichever one he said, I was going to say the other one. But StarCraft, we have absolutely grown up with StarCraft since we were almost born with it. We're pushing 40. We're fixing to be 39, and we sort of when we got StarCraft 1 like the day it came out, and never quit playing StarCraft 1 until StarCraft 2 came out, and that was a long
time.
We played it nonstop. We watched professional games in Korea where there was just all the Koreans playing StarCraft 1. And then when StarCraft 2 came out, we stayed up till midnight with our buddy Dave and our cousin Jeremy, went and got it at midnight. That was before you could download games. When StarCraft 2 came out, it was right at the end. You still had to go buy the game at a store. Played it all night, so it's definitely StarCraft. But the thing about Halo is we're way less into Halo as an esport, but we're way more into it we're not more into it than StarCraft, but we're equally into Halo from a just sort of sit down and play it and enjoy the plot, the story. We both read all the books, we read all the lore about Halo, so we're way more into Halo, but we're not really good at first-person shooters, and we're better at strategy games. So Halo, a number 2 to StarCraft, but it's up there for sure.
Let me just say that StarCraft 2 was one of the best StarCrafts out there.
Yes, for sure. Well, it's only one of the 2 StarCrafts.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm actually hoping
You got a 50-50 chance
yeah.
on that.
I do have to say that I believe they remastered Age of Empires 2. So
Dude, that's a good game too. Age of Empires.
It is. Age of Empires is a very good game. Yeah.
and they need to remaster StarCraft 2, please.
Well,
do.
there's a StarCraft 1 remaster, and StarCraft 2, I don't think is far enough gone from. You can still play it with modern-looking graphics and modern-looking PCs. The main thing is you can still play it on the PC that you have. You don't have to like download. You don't have to like be running Windows 98 or something like that. So StarCraft 2 is fine the way it is. People just need to play it and then not be dead.
My question for Eric and Carl, I want to ask them a question. If you got a StarCraft 3, what would you want from it?
Oh, dude, don't. So StarCraft 3, if there was a StarCraft 3, I would want from it the same thing that I want from Halo Infinite, which is I don't even care if I hate the game. I just want it to be a successful esport.
Right.
Because I love the game so much. Even if it's not fun for me to play, if it's fun for everybody else to play, I will love it. So it could have StarCraft 3 could be the game that I hate the most of all games ever to play. They could make it like a card trading game, you know. but if it's a successful game and it's a successful esport and we could go back to StarCraft as an esport, that's how we felt about Halo, because we loved Halo for so long. And we had a tournament for Master Chief Collection. I don't know, Austin, I don't think you were around for this. You may have come to it as a guest, but you weren't working for us. But we had a big Halo tournament planned for Master Chief Collection when it came out. And if anybody remembers the launch of Master Chief Collection, our event was like the weekend of the launch, and the game was completely unplayable. Yeah. Like we literally had to go. We sent a bunch of players home to get Xbox 360s so that we could play Halo 3 instead. Like it was the worst launch of any game that there has ever been. And then Halo 5 was like, okay. Halo 4 was not very good. It wasn't very well received. Master Chief Collection was an absolute disaster. It's a great game now, but it was an absolute disaster. And then Halo 5 was like kind of good, but it wasn't good enough to revitalize the franchise. And so that's what all I have been hoping for, is that Halo Infinite would be good enough to revitalize the franchise. And that's what I hope so. And so that's what I would hope for StarCraft 3 is I don't even care if I like it or not. I just would want it to revitalize the franchise. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Do you have any more questions, LSAT, here?
Yeah, actually I do. This one's tied more towards the dealership aspect of Scion Esports, if you guys don't mind me asking a question about that.
Not at all. We love talking about Lake Charles Toyota. It helps us pay the bills.
All right, cool. So here's my question. Toyota, they famously created something called JIT, or just-in-time inventory, where they only order what they need when they need it. It's been successful. Several other companies have followed. However, recently, with the semiconductor shortage, supply chain issues and whatnot, how has that affected the amount of vehicles that you guys are getting in to help pay for these events?
Sure. Eric, you want me to take that one, or you want to tackle that? Okay. So I'm impressed that you know that. That's not a lot of people have dig into the engineering and the production aspects. So that's cool that you know that. It means that obviously the word is getting out. But
actually, I make the fasteners for Toyotas, like the screws and bolts. Yeah, that's my day job.
Cool. Okay, awesome. That's cool. There's a plant there in Lexington. Is it in Lexington? In Kentucky? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So I'm glad that's cool that you have that Toyota connection. So anyway, to answer your question, the Toyota production system, the Toyota Way, there's a great book called The Toyota Way, by the way, that talks about the philosophy of the Toyota production system and the just-in-time manufacturing and all that. And it has definitely been a fantastic way to build cars for the last 50 years. And it helps with a lot of things, not the least of which is recall management. If they have a faulty part or a faulty car, they don't already have 50,000 of this part in the warehouse. So it's a very good system. And I think we would be in a lot worse situation than we are if it wasn't for the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear meltdown in 2011. I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but there was a big tsunami that caused a nuclear meltdown that shut down Toyota, and I think Honda as well, but basically shut down all their operations in Japan because Toyota City it was pretty close to that. It shut down like all their operations. And so that was one of the kind of catastrophic flaws in the just-in-time process, because if your factory that makes the engine components it can't get power because there's a nuclear meltdown at the power plant for 6 months, then you don't have any engines, you can't build parts. So since then, they kind of learned the hard way that it's a great concept, but it has to kind of be controlled and mitigated. And they actually had they kind of had some foresight and saw that this microprocessor problem was going to be a big problem, and had a little bit more stockpile over the last year or so than a lot of the other manufacturers did. So there was one area where they had just-in-time process, but they saw something that might be a problem that they learned about in 2011. They applied it in 2019, 2020. But even with that, what happened kind of is our inventory and our flow of cars lasted a little longer. We ran out later than everybody else, and Toyota has been able to keep producing cars, but not at a rate sufficient enough to maintain any inventory. So we've had literally zero new cars on our lot for the last 3 months, I think. But we're still getting enough cars in that we can maintain some sales volume. We're getting roughly 100 a month, and they all come in pre-sold. Every single car that comes off the truck already has somebody's name on it. It goes straight to their house. So the volume is down, but it's not down as bad as it looks like when you look at the lot and there's nothing there.
Right.
So it's been a strange time to do of business, because it's scary to look out on the lot and see no inventory. But with supply and demand, volume goes down. There's no more supply. The demand stays the same. Prices go up. So we're selling less cars, but gross profits are up, and we're making the business work. So it's not a great time. We don't love it. We're not, just banking all kinds of money, but we're making it. We're doing okay. I think it's a good time to be a Toyota dealer, because they really do a good job of having foresight and looking beyond just, how do we put as much money on this financial statement as possible. So I think I feel a lot better with the Toyota product than I would with some of the other domestic manufacturers that are really struggling even more than we are with their parts supplies issues.
Right. For example, Ford, a lot of people have been saying they've been ordering the new Broncos, the new Mach-E's, Mustangs, the all-electric ones, and they're coming in with mismatched seats. Some of the tops on the new Broncos aren't fitting right, so they're having to replace all those. So yeah, I can see exactly what you're talking about.
I'm glad that says Mike Willis in Sulphur now.
Yeah. We don't know what he's making their store up until a few years ago. We had a Ford store, and we wound up selling it to the guy that was running it for us because we're a Toyota family. We feel extremely confident and comfortable with Toyota, and basically, if the industry is going to suffer, we're going to throw our eggs, or I don't know what the best metaphor is, but we want to be in with Toyota. They're not perfect, but we're going to put our hat with Toyota. We trust their philosophy and mindset, and we'd rather have them than anybody else.
So I'm guessing you're saying shout out to Toyota.
Shout out to Toyota.
Shout out to
Toyota is
none of us would be here without.
Toyota was RIP Overwatch, but Toyota was a big sponsor of Overwatch League, so they were wasn't it an Overwatch League? It was Overwatch.
Yeah,
League,
they
right?
were. Yeah, they were like
Toyota
global title sponsor of Overwatch League.
They're very forward thinking. They're very into technology and esports and reaching. They're certainly into reaching new customers where those customers are, and that's kind of what Scion Esports is about. It's about going and reaching young people where they are, which is playing games.
Awesome. I do have one last question, and this one's kind of a out there question, but the new 4th gen Supra, have you guys had a chance to test drive one of those yet?
I actually missed the last national dealer meeting because I had a baby due like a week after the meeting in Las Vegas, and so I didn't get to go. Eric and Dad went, but I sent them with a pretty specific mission to find out as much information they could about the Tundra and as much information they could about this new tool called Toyota SmartPath. So I don't know that they saw or were able to put their hands on A new Supra. Eric will have to answer that one.
The big thing at the last dealer meeting that we went to was, I don't think it was a new generation of Supra. It was these Austin. I don't know if you remember the word. It's like wah something. There's like there's a performance line for Supra and
Gazoo. Is it the Gazoo?
Gazoo Racing.
Racing.
Gazoo.
Right. So
I'm actually waiting for the Corolla.
The big thing was a Gazoo Racing Supra with I don't know, I'm not into that, not really into that arena very much, but that was the big thing they were excited about. The hype was about the Gazoo Racing Supra, and also like Geimer said, the Gazoo Racing Corolla also was really big. So.
Yeah, well, I was asking because my neighbor actually, he has a new Supra. He picked it up, believe 3 months ago, and it's a pretty nice looking car, pretty slick, not gonna lie. But from what I understand, it's a pretty big collab with BMW. Now, there's an inside joke that it's basically just a BMW with a Toyota badge. Does that offend you guys at all?
Well, so the truth of the matter is, it's much more of a collaboration. I think the Scion FRS, which became the Toyota 86, is a collaboration with Subaru. It's basically a Subaru BRZ, and that basically is a Subaru. You know, all Subarus are four-wheel drive, but the Scion FRS and then the Toyota 86 is pretty much not a BRZ. Is it a BRZ?
Yeah, I think that's.
Is that what it is? BRZ?
That's it.
Yes.
The BRZ and the FRS.
Yeah, so the FRS and the 86 and the BRZ, they are basically just a badge swap of the Subaru. But that's not really the case in the Supra. It is a partnership with BMW, but it was designed as much by Toyota, if not more, than BMW. Akio Toyoda, the grandson of the original namesake Toyota, is now the CEO or whatever. And he was actually very, very hands-on in the development of the car. And the reality of it is, it's a small market car. And what people don't realize is that BMW doesn't have a big enough market for this specific niche of a car. You know, a $60,000 to $80,000 turbocharged V6. You know, not lightweight roadster, but not muscle car either. The BMW doesn't have a big enough market for that, and neither does Toyota. But if they put together, there's now all of a sudden a market that didn't exist in a substantial critical mass of quantity to build a car. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. You know, people are kind of a little bit, you know, butthurt about it being not truly a Toyota because the original legacy Supra was such a legendary Toyota. Yeah, but the way it got built is Toyota and BMW got together and they both said, hey, you know, you've got 50,000 customers, we've got 50,000 customers. We got to build 100,000 cars to make it marketable. Let's collaborate and build a car together. But it was very cool. We heard a lot at the dealer meetings for years, from probably 2012 or 2013. We heard like first person accounts from Akio Toyoda himself about the development of the car, and even to where he would bring like a GoPro with him in the car. In the pre-production prototype car, and video himself test driving the car on some speedway, and then come share that with a dealer. So it was very much a collaborate. It was a collaboration, but it wasn't a rebadge.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
We actually have a guy in the shop. I work in the shop on the quick lane. I manage all those guys, but there's a guy on the other side of the shop named Tyler who does drift racing and. Fantastic driver, really impressive guy. And leading up to the release of the new Supra, he was very skeptical about it at first. But when they came out and he got to drive one, he's like, I want one of these. I need to trade something in for one. I just want a manual swap one of these. They're so cool.
Awesome.
All right, so I have one last question before we actually get to the goofy and relaxing questions for you guys, so you guys can actually like relax after this one. So all right, this last question I have is related to like esports events. You guys ever thought about actually having another game? Like, I mean, I know you guys talk Halo, you guys talk Smash, but you ever thought about having like maybe Rainbow Six Siege?
So let me mention that one. The reason we've always gravitated towards games that are a little more young person friendly and away from games that are more hyper violent and extremely realistic violence,
Mm-hmm.
and especially away from games that involve semi-realistic. We're not real big on soldiers killing terrorists, kind of as a, we've kind of, we'd rather have space marines killing aliens, if that makes sense, than
Mm-hmm.
pretending we're American soldiers out dying and killing terrorists. So that's why we were big on Overwatch. That's why we were big on Halo.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like, it's not like we have an internal ban against Call of Duty or like Rainbow
CS:GO
Six,
or Rainbow Six.
CS:GO, those. We also had a lot of interaction before COVID. We had a lot of interaction with the high schools around Lake Charles. I'm on the school board actually, and so we were very involved with getting esports in the high schools.
Mm-hmm.
And in the high schools, it requires that the games not be rated mature.
Mm-hmm.
And so Overwatch was so perfect because of its slightly cartoonish violence. It's very inclusive. It's more young people friendly. There's no racist or sexist stereotypes or anything like that. There's not a lot of blood.
So
So we,
so you guys are leaning more into like the fantasy type,
yeah, yeah,
type sorts.
that's where we naturally lean. But the other thing about, like we mentioned, the players, if we went out and we said, hey, who wants to do Rainbow Six Siege? Isn't Cyan Wolf Corey? Isn't she real big into
I don't
that?
offer the Wicker.
Yeah, so we have two streamers that we pay to stream, and they love that game. But what's going to happen is we're going to say, okay, fans, we got thousands of followers out there. We're going to say, who wants to play Rainbow Six? And we're going to get zero responses. That's what's going to happen because
Right.
that's what always happens. We will do almost any game. Honestly, we would probably even do, like, aside from in high schools and stuff with younger kids, at SciFicon or whatever, we would do Mortal Kombat if people would play it. We're pretty much going to go to wherever there's a large player base.
Now,
And
what about Fortnite? Somebody mentioned on the
so
Twitch
we've
channel.
we've done Fortnite. We have not done it. We have committed to do it and then couldn't, like, we for Warzone and Call of Duty. Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone. Every time we've tried to do that, it's been, let's see if we can get 40 players to do it, because we wanted to be able to have our own lobby and have 40 players playing in the same lobby.
Mm-hmm.
And on both of those games, it wound up being like 6 people signed up, and so
Mm-hmm.
we canceled
I
it.
think mostly Fortnite is actually mostly on the East Coast or West Coast, like But one game that I actually have watched esports live the most, that I actually really enjoy myself watching, is Rocket League.
Yeah, we've done
Yeah.
some Rocket League, and we love Rocket League. It's easy to watch. You don't have to understand it to watch it, which is important, especially for us. We're trying to simultaneously reach kids and parents. Really, we
Mm-hmm.
we a big reach for us is 20 somethings and 30 somethings who are buying cars, and then also you're looking at, for us, reaching the 12 and 15-year-old kids. For us is really, I don't want to make this all about, it's not about the kids, but it's really about reaching their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a lot of parents that loved Smash, they loved Overwatch, they love Rocket League, because those are kind of easy to understand. But especially Rocket League, it's just some cars playing soccer. And so it's easy to watch. We love it. The other thing we love about Rocket League is it only takes 6 setups. So Overwatch takes 12. And so you can do a lot more smaller tournaments. You can have 4 or 8 teams of Rocket League with a
I mean,
lot weaker
come on,
hardware.
everybody wants to watch cars play soccer. I mean, come on
Yeah,
now.
it's simple. It's the simplicity is what's awesome, and that's not to say it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's one of those high skill threshold
That game
games,
is
but
super
it's
difficult.
but it's easy
Yeah,
to watch.
it's easy to
It's easy to
watch,
watch.
but once you start getting into it and you see all these crazy tricks people are doing, you're just like, how is that even possible in this game?
Also,
Hey,
as an esports organization, we love Rocket League because you can play it just in League of Legends. Also, we love that you can play them on a little bit lower hardware, older hardware, so
mm-hmm.
it makes it a little easier on us. You don't have to have cutting edge, 3000 series graphics cards and 5th gen AMD processors to play it.
I was gonna
The
say,
joke
like,
is, can you play it on a BlackBerry? If you can play it on a BlackBerry, then we love it.
hey, that's actually one of my first phones I ever had.
Well, Hearthstone, actually, since you mentioned that Hearthstone, we do Hearthstone every year at the Civic Center for SciFicon, and the main reason is because we can do it on a $300 all-in-one that we have 87,000 of at the dealership. We just go put an all-in-one there or a laptop.
my
They
Lord.
on it, So that's nice. Hearthstone is big, and at SciFicon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to clarify here that on behalf of the Reef Podcast and Scion Esports, we're actually going to be doing a great giveaway. And I'm actually going to let Mr. Corey Tarver let you know what the giveaway is. So, take the mic for this one, Corey.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, so we told Louis that we'd be happy to partner with him on a giveaway to kind of hype up the podcast. And I don't know the exact model, but it is going to be I think Louis probably knows the model, but it's going to be a Razer keyboard, really nice gaming keyboard. Probably got those loud clicky keys and everything. Louis, you know the model?
Right here, I got it. We actually have 5 entrants on this one, actually, which is amazing. I want to thank everybody here. And LSAT, you know the exact name of the model, correct?
Yeah, hold on, let me pull it up. Give me just a second.
But
and whoever wins, make sure that Louis has good contact information and a shipping address for you, because wherever you may be, we're just going to ship that straight to you.
Well, just so you know, Tarver's and Austin, is that every day I always look at my stats of how the podcast is doing and everything like that. We have at least 500 people listening from just Louisiana itself.
Oh, that's
awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
And all over North America right now, like from when I'm looking at all the episodes that I've been doing, is that North America has almost 5,000 people watching.
Wow,
that's fantastic.
That is awesome, dude.
And then Europe, I have at least 1,250 right now. I'm looking.
Wow.
And Asia, I have a couple. Africa, I have a couple too, surprisingly, because I mean, South Africa is like the main core of Africa. And then we have Oceania as well, and we have South America. So recently, we actually hit that milestone in the podcast. We actually managed to get at least one listener from every continent.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And this podcast will actually be available tomorrow on YouTube, and it'll be available on Spotify, and it's actually going to be, for the first time ever, be published on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and really soon. I mean, I do definitely want to do a second part of this Scion Esports interview with you guys, because we're actually going to have it on Sirius XM satellite radio really soon.
That's awesome. We'd be happy to come back anytime you want us.
Definitely. I definitely want to come back after I can talk more about Crusade.
Yeah, we should do it after Halo, and then we can talk about the Halo, and we can talk about SciFicon, and we can talk about Crusade.
Most definitely, man. But yeah, I'm just like really thankful, because doing this for 2 years, it has been a crazy journey. I'm telling you this right now, because I went through so many amazing co-hosts until I found this guy right here.
Well, thank you.
And he's actually been the longest running co-host I've had. But I personally want to thank every single co-host that I've had like over the last 2 years. And honestly, I'm not going to stop with this. I'm going to keep growing my podcast. And believe it or not, I'm actually looking into getting a trademark like really soon. So that way, like, nobody takes this name.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, get to the silly questions. We want the silly questions.
You want the silly questions? Okay. So
yeah, let's do it.
While LSAT actually gets the keyboard name ready, we're gonna start.
Oh
with
yeah,
this.
by the way, it's a Black Widow V3 TKL keyboard from Razer, and it's got the green clicky switches.
Nice. Perfect.
Really
I just
nice.
got the TKL keyboard. That thing is so much nicer than a full size.
That's awesome. All right, let's get to the funny and silly questions here. All right, so first question I have for y'all is, each one has to answer individually, not like one for all. All right.
Okay.
Do you approve of pineapples on pizza?
Absolutely not. This is Corey Tarver, and I say absolutely not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a no from me.
Austin?
I've been recently converted into every once in a while, yes, I will eat pineapple on pizza.
Ooh, the outcast here.
Hey, it's okay, man. Look, we're both outcasts. Pineapple on pizza is where it's at.
Look, if you get the right ingredients on that pizza, it doesn't work with just anything. But we hired a guy a while back at Toyota named Michael Nunez, and he kept badgering me over and over. You got to at least try it. You can't say you hate it until you try it. And he made me try it, and then like every couple of months I'll eat a pineapple pizza now.
Yeah, something for everybody.
All right, next question I have for y'all is do you guys wear hats when you're inside your houses?
No.
I do not. Corey does not.
It's a yes and a no for me, and the reason is I have this accessory on my head that is hair that I change all the time. So I go from middle of my back length hair to buzzed and then back. Like I have it long till I get tired of it, and then it's short. So the answer is, when I have short hair, I think I look stupid with a hat. When I have long hair, I think I look cool with a hat. And that does not apply to whether or not I'm inside. So if I have long hair, I wear hats all the time, even when I'm inside.
Gotcha. All right. When you actually walk inside your house, are you barefooted, socks, or slippers?
I actually have this pair of slippers that my mom got me that I've recently gotten into wearing that say Papa Bear. She got us Papa Bear and Mama Bear and Baby Bear and Little Bear slippers for me and my wife and my two sons. And I never wore slippers until she got those. And then it just so happened to be like it was like cold. And so I've recently started wearing slippers. But before that, it was like barefoot.
So I'm guessing you're saying shout out to your mom as well?
Yeah, shout out to Mom.
If I'm in my house, I have exclusively wearing my Star Wars pajamas, my gray hoodie, and my socks.
Ooh,
So it's socks
you're
for
like
me.
me then. You're a socks person.
Yep.
I'm generally wearing my shoes, actually. I get home from work, and it's an hour before I realize I'm still wearing shoes, and then I'm in socks for a couple hours, and then...
It's a trick question for Geimer because he gets home and then he immediately leaves his house to go work for Scion Esports.
That's fair. That's fair.
He's never home.
Gotcha. All right. This actually is one of the most interesting questions that I have, and this one makes my co-host actually want to leave sometimes. So
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. When you pour your cereal, if you eat cereal, do you pour the cereal first and then the milk, or the milk first and then the cereal?
The cereal goes first, no question. And my wife occasionally does it the other way, and it's the closest we've ever been to getting divorced.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I'm one of those individuals that puts the milk first and then the cereal.
Oh,
So that's what's wrong with you.
yeah.
I'm a cereal first kind of guy.
I'm cereal first as well, except now it's pretty much always just dry cereal right out of the box.
All right, LSAT, your questions.
Okay, so first off, if animals could speak, which one would be the rudest?
Cats.
Cat, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that. Cats
I
are...
think all of us are saying cats, dude.
Unanimous cats. And I have dogs and cats, and I'll tell you, my dogs, they're gonna just say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And the cat is gonna say, where's my food?
Where's my food?
Where's my petting? Cleaning up my poop. Oh, by the way, the house is too warm, the house is too cold, you're sleeping in my bed. So it's cats. It's definitely cats.
Frank here in the chat says freaking lemurs would talk mad shit, then hop away.
Yeah. Not as mad as cats. They wouldn't be as rude as cats.
Cats would be like, hey, I'm the center of attention. Pay attention to me.
Yep.
All right, LSAT.
All right, what is popular now, but you think people will be embarrassed by in 10 years?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
Super Smash Brothers.
that hurts. That hurts.
You know, we've actually had a lot of people say TikTok.
TikTok. Yep.
I mean, I'm embarrassed by TikTok now, so, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I got one. Taking pictures of every boring thing you might happen to be doing that day and putting it on social media. Because, like, realistically, in 10 years, no one's going to care what boring thing you did today. They're only going to care about the pictures of your kids that they get to see.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
I agree
That's a
with
good
that.
one.
Everybody's like,
Hopefully-
hey guys, I made toast today. Check out these like 10 different HDR photos of my toast I made. I'm like,
Everyday carry on Instagram, dude. I hate that so much when people do that. Like, it's like just so much fake crap you have. You didn't have that stuff in your pocket. Like, you didn't do that. That's not really out of your pocket. Stop hashtag everyday carrying.
Right.
I think social media has a lot of stuff that people are going to look back on and say, "Wow!" Like they have the Wayback Machine, where you can go back and find old tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook posts and stuff that people have deleted. And I just think that there's going to be a bunch of stuff on there that people are like, "Wow, I cannot believe I did that. I cannot believe I played that. I cannot believe I shared that."
All right, for me, it's 110% people who put lift kits on only the front of their vehicle.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, that's called the was it Carolina squat?
Yeah.
Well, but see, the thing that you're missing though, Gomer, is those guys have no shame. Like they'll never be embarrassed ever.
Yeah.
So
that's probably true.
We got Frank here saying NFTs.
That's
Well, you may even say crypto. Crypto might die. It might not, or it might. We were in crypto for a little while, but we got out.
That's a whole story.
Broke even. Actually, Scion Esports gained a bunch of GPUs because we crypto mined on them for a little while, and the ones that survived the crypto mining got moved to Scion Esports.
Didn't you guys destroy an AC unit with crypto mining?
Our first experiment, that was a massive failure. Yeah,
we did. Yes, we did.
He also says, the nuts that people hang on their trucks.
Yeah,
truck nuts are always going to be popular.
I disagree. That's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
All right, so would you guys rather breathe underwater or be invisible?
Is it selective invisibility that you can turn on?
Yeah. It's turn on, turn off, kind of whenever you want it.
Turn off, be invisible. Definitely, I like it. But I wouldn't necessarily desire to breathe underwater. So
yeah, because like eventually, like nobody else can breathe under there. Like what are you gonna do down there? So I would say.
Well, my reasoning for invisibility. I'm going to say invisibility, and my reasoning is you can only go so deep in the ocean until the pressure just crushes you. So
right,
invisibility definitely.
Yep.
Okay, and last but not least, this one's pretty important, so brace yourselves. Would you rather fight one bear-sized goose or 100 goose-sized bears?
One bear-sized goose.
Yeah. Is anybody videoing it?
This is being recorded, so.
For me,
I mean the goose fight. Is anybody videoing the goose fight?
Pretty sure everybody is.
I want them to be gooses, not bears. So I guess, is it a bear-sized goose? Not bears. I don't want bears. I want gooses. So
like getting attacked by a bunch of piranha.
One bear-sized goose is what I would want.
I think the goose-sized bear flock would have a better chance of going viral if somebody was videoing it. I think it'd be funnier. I don't know that it'd be that funny to get attacked by a bear-sized goose because geese are mean. They will attack you. If you don't know that in real life, they are mean. Like if you go try to feed them some bread, they're like, I don't want the bread. First, I want to bite your hand. Then when you drop that bread from your hand pane, then I'll take the bread. Like they're mean.
But if you're getting attacked by them, you're already past whether they're mean or not. So
now, did
in
you
both
know?
Cases, you're getting attacked.
Did you know this? True
yeah, but
fact
what I'm saying is like bears are not like. You might the bear. Yeah, well, that's true. You're already getting attacked by them, so yeah, they've already entered attack mode. Yeah, that's true.
Now, did you guys know that if you actually point a green laser pen to their feet, they actually get scared off and run away?
Did not know that.
Yeah. So,
all right, so if I ever get attacked by a goose-sized bear or a bear-sized goose, laser pointer.
Yep.
That's it. They're the exact opposites of cats. Instead of trying to chase it, they run away from it.
I think laser pointers are kind of illegal in Louisiana now. I think.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow, Louisiana cracking down on all that important stuff, like laser pointers.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there any questions that you guys actually have for us here in the Reef Podcast?
I would just say after this is over, can you share some wisdom with us on how you got 500 or 1,000 listeners in Louisiana? Was it 500 in Louisiana and 5,000 around the United States? I'm very impressed with that. And maybe you can drop some knowledge on us because, like I was saying earlier, getting the message out, having the reach is just very difficult nowadays. So that would be the only thing. You don't have to share your secrets here on the podcast, but Maybe you can make us a checklist later.
Well, one thing I for sure do is I do a lot of social media advertisement. I literally go out and actually follow people, like, on social media, start talking to them, getting to know them. And next thing you know, they actually start, like, listening in and just like, business cards, basically
Yep.
put them out all around like the state of Louisiana. I mean, the cities that I know of, and basically just share my knowledge with them and let them know, like, hey, I interview people, I do this, and of course get merchandise for my podcast as well. Because one thing I definitely want to do for you two, Tarver Brothers and Austin, is I want to get y'all personally a Reef Podcast T-shirt on behalf of me and my
I'll,
co-host.
We're down with that.
Awesome. That would be great. I wish I had it right now because I actually am on vacation and I literally forgot to pack T-shirts. So I have sweaters. I have like jackets only.
Mm-hmm.
So like tomorrow morning when I go to the my airplane, I'm gonna have to wear like a hoodie with nothing on underneath it, and it's like 40 degrees. So I really wish I had that Reef Podcast T-shirt right now to layer.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a short sleeve and long sleeve, so
I'll take the long sleeve. I love long sleeve T-shirts.
awesome. So yeah, we'll definitely on behalf of me and my co-host, we'll eventually get y'all some T-shirts. And hey, if you guys want it signed, by all means, we'll get it signed too.
That's awesome.
Sure, for sure.
All right. What about you, Austin and Eric? Any questions?
Geimer?
Let's see.
So I'll go while he's thinking.
Go ahead.
Don't hurt yourself, Geimer. Don't think too hard. I would say, I don't have a question. I would just say definitely let's continue to work together and collaborate. To us, we have never been like competitive as far as wanting to try to squeeze people out of what they do or anything. We have always experienced that the more people we can be involved with, the bigger everyone's reach gets, the bigger everyone's events get. So for sure, if you're willing to have us back, we'll come back. You could maybe do record something at one of the events or something like that. But for sure, we'll come back and talk about it. Definitely, we'd love to do that.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I mean, we actually had a couple of famous people here before. We actually had the voice of the original Frank Woods from Call of Duty. He was actually here. We actually had the composer of, I don't know if you remember this game back then, Top Gear. We actually had the music composer of Top Gear from Super Nintendo. It's a racing game.
Nice.
He also did the soundtrack for Horizon Chase Turbo, I believe the name of it is. And he also did Cruising USA and Cruising World.
Oh yeah, Cruising USA. They had those at Mr. Gaddy's. Those were awesome.
Yeah, we actually had him interviewed, and he's actually coming back really soon. I forgot to mention that to you, LSAT, but Barry Leach is coming back to actually have a second interview with us.
Great
Nice.
guy.
Yeah.
Funny as all get out.
But that's one thing that I always try to excel with my podcast is that I don't want to just stay with regular people, which are amazing, of course, because you get to know their background, what made them become streamers or musicians or anything like that. But we always try to exceed our expectations. We're like, okay, we're actually on Twitch right now, YouTube and Spotify. Let's actually increase that and make it even bigger by getting the word out on Apple Podcasts, SiriusXM, things like that. I always try to move one step ahead of myself so that way I can never stop going up.
Yep.
All right, so I thought about my question, and it's a little more unserious. If you could have any one person on your podcast, who would it be for both of you guys?
Okay, you want to answer first, LSAT?
Yeah, that's actually, I would have to say I would like to talk to the lead singer of a band called Whitechapel. Guy's name is Phil Bozeman. I don't know if y'all are too into metal music and whatnot, but this guy's vocal range is just insane.
I've seen Whitechapel live, yeah.
And they're from my neck of the woods up here. They're from the Tennessee area, and I've seen them live a couple of times as well. And it's just, I don't know. It's there when they put on a show. It's just the energy he puts out is just insane, and he's got a crazy life story, and that's my choice.
Well, my choice personally, I would love to actually interview Will Wright. He actually.
Oh yeah, dude, the creator of SimCity.
Yep, the creator of SimCity and the Sims franchise. I would love to have him here. I would literally, honestly, probably cry if I ever have him.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're actually about to go part our way with Scion staff members here, but we're actually gonna do the giveaway announcement. So we're actually gonna announce who the winner of this is. So I officially closed the giveaway. So the winner of the keyboard is
Dun, 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 dun.
Jigsaw.
Hey, there we go. Congratulations, my dude.
Congratulations, Jigsaw 26. You actually won the giveaway with a 20% chance of winning. That's awesome. And just so you know, Corey, Eric, and Austin, Jigsaw 26 is actually one of my devoted followers and true friends here on my channel.
Cool.
And him and his wife are like the sweetest people that me and him have actually met.
Well, that's awesome that he won the prize. That's great.
Being
Yep.
good.
And on top of that, he just recently did the one chip challenge, which, like, took it like a champ. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but it's one tortilla chip that's like completely covered in Carolina Reaper and some kind of scorpion pepper extract. And it's like the hottest chip out there in the world. And he just chomped it down, and a little tear ran down his face. But other than that, the man was a boss about it.
I'd like to see Scion Esports staff try to do something like that. That would be hilarious.
We do like our spicy food down here in Southwest Louisiana, right on the Gulf Coast. We like our spicy Cajun food, so we probably got some people that would be good at it.
I feel like we would. We gotta get Billy in on that.
Yep.
I do want to say thank you again to Corey, Eric, and Austin for taking their time to actually be here. I know Corey is actually traveling right now, but I bet he's actually getting ready for next week as well, because they actually have a big event planned out, and I'm actually thankful that they actually got me on board to actually be a staff member for them. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Looking forward to it.
Hey, Louis, plug your Madden tournament. We got some Madden players.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Gotta try that. But yeah.
We're trying to have, so at the Halo tournament, we're trying to have Madden be a big thing. So if anybody's listening who plays Madden or knows anybody who plays Madden who's in driving distance to Lake Charles, come play Madden with us at the Scion 10 tournament.
And not only that, but whenever you guys are actually listening on Spotify, I will definitely leave the on the description below, like the link. So you guys, if you want to sign up or anything like that, if you have any questions, you can definitely go to the links below and check it out. I mean, these people know how to run an event. They've been doing it for quite a while. And what you said earlier, Eric, with like basically me hosting a Reef Podcast, like, live show. I mean, that's actually like big. I mean, I never done that. I never actually done a live show like that.
Totally do it. Let's do it.
All right. So on behalf of everybody, thank you so much for your time. And I'll definitely be in touch with y'all. And LSAT, you're actually going to keep in touch with me over here for a little bit more, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right. So thank you again, Austin, Eric, and Corey. And I'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having
next
us.
week.
Thank you all so much for having us.
All right.
No problem.
Bye.
Later.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Scion Esports. Thank you so much, everybody that tuned in. So now we actually gonna have a word from my buddy LSAT, because he wants to address a couple of things to y'all about something that happened a few weeks ago. So LSAT, you take the mic.
Yeah, sure. So, okay. First and foremost, I want to say that, Scion Esports are pretty awesome folks. And I'm from Louisiana. So, it's great to see the Louisiana, Mississippi area getting in on the tournament love like that. That's great. But in recent news, about a month ago, up in my neck of the woods where I live now in the Bowling Green, Kentucky area, we had a pretty big tornado come through. And luckily, well, I say this lightly, but luckily we didn't get a lot of damage. There were some other cities that, like, the entire city got completely leveled. And we lucked out in that aspect. However, we did not luck out in the fact that we still did get lots and lots of damage. As a matter of fact, I had the tornado come through the field in my backyard. And you could see the path that it took, and at the very last second, it was headed straight from my house, and at the very last second, it took a left turn and hit my neighbor's house and completely destroyed it. As in, they had to tear it down yesterday. It was pretty rough. A couple people here passed away from it, including an entire family, 7 people. And I just wanted to let everybody know that's why I've been missing recently, is because for a long time, a lot of the infrastructure was down, power was down, the internet was down, lots and lots of infrastructure work had to be done before we could get some of our basic utilities back. So, as a matter of fact, I was without power for a week, and I was without internet for almost 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, because the first 5 or 6 days, no internet whatsoever. And then as they would get the power lines put up, the cable line runs on those power poles. So, the internet's completely dependent on that. Then once it came up, it would come up for an hour, 2 hours, 10 minutes, and then it would crash for a couple hours or a day. Anyways, a bit long-winded and long in the tooth, but what I was getting at is that we got hit pretty good in the Kentucky area. A lot of people lost everything, and it was really rough. But we are Kentucky strong, and it was great to see everybody just team up together and help each other out, help your neighbor out, help your friend out, help random people out, and get things taken care of. So that's why I've been missing as co-host for a couple episodes now, but now everything is squared away, so I am back.
Well, you know what they say. They always say, like, after the rain, the sun comes out. So
yeah, that's true. And I mean, just like I said, seeing the outpouring of help from fellow Kentuckians. We had power companies coming from North Carolina, from Texas, from Louisiana, from Ohio, from Indiana, you name it. And they were sending power crews out here to get the power lines back up. And you don't really understand how much you take modern conveniences for granted until they're gone. And let me tell you, it was really cold because it was in the middle of winter, and at the time up here we were hitting the low 20s Fahrenheit, so I guess you could say like 5 or 6 degrees Celsius for everyone not in America. And it was pretty frigid. So we had space heaters, we had generators, we had kerosene heaters, and it was tough, but we made it. Like I said, the worst part is the destruction and the damage that was done. But insurance companies have come out. They've been pretty solid on getting work done, getting things cleaned up. And, as Scion Esports mentioned earlier, the donations from out of state, that's helped drastically, especially with the people that lost their houses. They literally lost everything they owned. All they had was the clothes on their back.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you want to post a link to people so that way they can actually, if they ever want to do a contribution to like the Kentucky, the whole state of Kentucky?
Yeah, let me pull that up. Give me just a second.
Absolutely. And once again, guys, I personally want to say, like, on behalf of me and LSAT, that thank you so much for always tuning into our podcast. I know we used to have them live on Twitch, but now we strictly moved to Spotify. But I figured, that for every time we have like a special anniversary going on, like a 1 year anniversary, or special event going on, we're always gonna bring it here to you guys on Twitch, so that way you guys can interact with us and talk with us and have fun. I mean, enjoy yourselves. But I mean, if you guys actually want to listen to previous episodes, we do have them on Spotify. Oh, Spotify account doesn't work here. Oh well. But you can actually look in the channel on the channel panels below, and you'll be able to see the Spotify link, and you can actually check out like the interviews that we done a couple of them, because unfortunately my PC had like a little malfunction a couple of months ago, so I lost almost all of the podcast interviews I had. So basically, like, we're actually going over this and making sure, like, that we actually upload them right on time for Spotify.
All right, so I found one site that will give everybody a general idea if you want to donate dollars, cash, whatever. If you want to donate other ways via clothing or whatnot, there's links on this website as well. And there we go.
Thank you, LSAT. All right, so that link below, and also guys, this link that Elsa just posted is actually gonna go below also on the Spotify information, so that way you guys can donate if you feel like you want to donate at least even $1 means something for them. I mean,
Absolutely, either $1, or if you can't donate money, there are several other options, including donating blood. That helps out a lot more than you think.
Absolutely. But once again, I want to personally thank everybody, and also you, Alsat, because you've been, like I said earlier on the podcast when we were talking with Scion, you've been my longest running co-host I've had here. And everybody that I had before, amazing people, outstanding. But I want to personally thank you for taking your time. I know you have a busy schedule with your house. You have like so much stuff going on. But I know
this is true.
But I know for a fact that when you do come in here, you basically come in like, prepared and out of the ordinary, and you just go and outdo yourself basically.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is it's not just me being a co-host. It's about the podcast in general and the guest or guests that we have that podcast. You want to. They've probably heard the same question over and over and over, and you want to find something that interests them and something they want to talk about a little more openly, and something that isn't asked very often. And as you said, I'm just one in a line of co-hosts, and the co-hosts before me, man, they paved the way. They made it easier for me. And listening to older podcasts from way back in the day got me prepared for what I was planning on jumping on board with.
And also, the last thing I want to say before we actually shut off for the night is we have a big announcement to make that we're actually going to be partying, like doing a little collaboration with the Farcast. And this one is actually one of my close friends' podcast. His name is actually Gianna Frank. He was here on the chat earlier on Twitch. We're actually going to be doing this year on gaming. It's going to be a segment on the Reef Podcast that we basically going to talk about, like, this year of gaming. Like, for instance, 1975, we'll basically do this year on gaming. This happened for a week or two for that year. And we'll basically talk about, like, the ups and downs of the gaming industry during that year. And also another segment that we have planned, it's still in the works, is that we're going to do this year on music. And we're actually going to be collaborating, so that way, like, we can talk about, like, some big hits of music that actually happened that year. And that one, I know for a fact that my co-host here, LSAT, is actually really fonded of, because he loves music so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Music, old school video games, that's where it's at, man. Sometimes it's nice to just kind of go back and see the roots of where we're at currently. Now everybody's complaining about not being able to get like 120 frames per second at 4K resolution, whereas in 1976, Pong was out in black and white, and it was just two squares hitting another square moving around the screen. Mm-hmm. And that just blew people's minds.
And then also, like, later on the years, we had what's it called? Like, you had to actually have an antenna and actually go in channel 3 to actually get reception so you can actually play games back then?
Yeah. You had the it was called the UHF control box. It was this little box that you would attach to the back of your TV, and it would attach with 2 screws. And on the side of this box, you could choose channel 3 or channel 4. And if you put it on channel 3 and it was kind of staticky, you could switch it to channel 4 and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got a question here from Frank. Says, what the fudge do I name my streaming? Let's Play channel. Streaming Let's Play channel. Oh, that's a good question.
That's actually a pretty solid question.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to actually do some brainstorming for you, Frank. But I'm actually really looking forward to actually work with you and LSAT and talk about gaming. And you're welcome to join us as well, Frank, on the music version of this. It's gonna be awesome, and I think we're gonna actually have a fun time because we're all gonna laugh and we're gonna talk for an hour just about games and stuff. I think it's gonna be a fun time. And,
oh yeah.
And also, guys, we're actually gonna have two interviews a month when it comes to the podcast. We're actually gonna be interviewing 2 people a month, and that actually gives us more time to actually come up with more people. Yes, Frank, to answer your question, we're also doing a music one. It's going to be this year on music, and we're going to talk about music. And the way that we're going to do it is, since the gaming started on the 1950s, I believe. So we're going to start this year on gaming and basically go from the 1950s, because that's when it actually started, not with Pong, believe it or not, LSAT. But basically we're going to do that year, and then whatever year we talk about gaming, that's going to be the year we're going to talk about music as well.
That's right. And let me tell you, it's something about music. It's not all glitz and glam. There's a lot of dirty little secrets behind the scenes, and we'll talk about them.
Absolutely. I'm actually excited to see this. And just so you guys know, this is actually going to be pre-recorded. Unfortunately, it's not going to be live, but it's going to be definitely on Spotify for sure. So that way you guys can listen to it. It's going to be on Apple Music and all other devices. But is there any last words that you want to say before we head out, LSAT?
No, I just want to say that everybody, thanks for coming by. Thanks for all the support that... On Twitter, I've gotten messages like, "Oh my God, LSAT's coming back! Yeah!" And that means the world to me. And
we'll care about.
I'm just glad. Yeah, I know. I'm just glad that the love is out there, and I just hope everybody stays safe and stay well.
Stay well, stay positive, and keep washing your hands, and basically just be yourself. I mean, I always tell myself, if you're actually being yourself and you stay positive, good things come to you.
That's right. Put that little bottle of hand sanitizer on a little hip pouch, so that way you're ready to go at all times.
And also, the last thing I wanted to say is that apparently we're actually going to have a brand new logo of the Reef Podcast coming as soon as we actually get the word out for the new music edition and the video game edition of the podcast. So
I'm so excited.
Yep. So absolutely, we're actually going to have a much more upgraded version. I mean, this logo, it's been with us for quite a while now, but we figured let's actually go to the 2022 century, the year, and basically go it's time to upgrade.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my dudes. Well, everybody, I hope you have a good night. And thank you again for coming in to the 2-year anniversary. It's been a blast. And we hope to see you soon.